Hi, everybody. Welcome. It's Natha Perkins of Electra Astrology. We are making a big transition this week as the sun is moving from Sagittarius into Capricorn. And that's what we're talking about, just the energy shift that we all work with when we are transitioning out of using our inner Sagittarius and we're moving into using our inner Capricorn. And we have all of these signs in our chart. So we are using them all day, every day. Even if you don't have any planets in a sign, you still use the energies of that sign. And that's what we're doing here. We're using astrology as the gateway, as the set of tools for understanding your own psyche, your own driving forces. And of course, as we are moving from the Sagittarian energy where we've been gathering information, we have been adventuring, we have been becoming wise. But we've also, as I've covered in my previous episodes, so if you missed those, we talked about the Sagittarius shadow, we talked about the Sagittarius gifts, and we also talked about the transition from Scorpio into Sagittarius. And so we're using all of these energies and they're all melding together. But essentially, when we're working with Sag, it's the part of us that is becoming wise. And we're becoming wise because we are having to question our beliefs. We are having to dial into what it is that we were taught, what it is that we were told was true, and question that from an adult perspective. Is that still true? Does that still make sense? And along the way, we have to confront our inner know-it-all, our inner instant expert, and then also really give ourselves credit for gathering the wisdom that we have, for connecting the dots and alchemizing everything that we have learned. Sagittarius is a really beautiful energy for all of us, but it does take some effort to put it all together. It is the oldest and the wisest of the fire signs. And so we have a lot of work to do. When we get to Capricorn, that is the oldest and the wisest of the earth signs. And the energy makes a total shift. In fact, we have to hunker down a little bit. Sagittarius is very exciting. It's very fast moving. As Stephen Forrest says, it is the arrow that we shoot from our archer's bow. And that arrow is going fast and it is zipping through time and space. And then we get to Capricorn. And Capricorn, of course, is the mountain goat. It is also known as the mystical sea goat because we're taking everything that we have learned so far and we are maturing. We are having to put our money where our mouth is, and we're having to take care of ourselves and the people around us, but with a sense of integrity. And it's a lot of work. It's like that energy of looking around and saying, wait a minute, I'm the adult here. I have to make the money. I have to make the decisions. People are counting on me. I'm counting on me. And as we all know, we've all been there in various times in our lives, and it can be confronting, to say the least. So I'm going to dive into this in my talk. And just so you know, these are edited episodes from my season 5 of Star Narratives, my podcast. I'm releasing these ones on YouTube. And the first few months, we are doing audio style podcasts. So there isn't a video to watch. There's just something to listen to. So once I'm done talking, we'll go into the listening part of the show. But for now, know that if you are listening, you're wanting some insight into your own life, you want to work with me privately, you can find me at electraastrology.com. Whether you want a recorded reading, that is the budget-friendly option, all the way to a full-on mentorship or apprenticeship where you are learning astrology. But in the meantime, you don't have to know astrology. You can just get a reading, or you can use these episodes to deeply understand yourself. And that is the whole point of these teachings, Astrology for Awakening. It's to help you inquire, see yourself more clearly, understand what it is that you're doing here and why you're doing it and why you're having this reaction. And frankly, as I record this at the end of 2024, there's so much in the field. There are so many old storylines rising up from your own life that are here for you to examine so that you can get the wisdom out of it You can get the vitamins and the minerals, and you can process and eliminate the rest. It's a really important time to do that. And if you're listening to this in the future, you are still having to do that work, but you can look back over 2024 and say, what was I doing? Because we know 2025 brings in a completely different energy. So we are getting prepared for that. Make sure that you catch my other shows that I have, The Path Ahead, which is the astrology forecast of the week. And then I'm also right now covering the asteroids. We are looking currently at the asteroid palace Athena, and we just did the asteroid series. These asteroids are really interesting. Astrologers don't talk about them as often, but I read them in every chart because they really fill out the picture of what it is that we're doing, how we are approaching life's issues and problems, where our strengths are, where we can find stability, and where things get a little bit rocky. Because when we know that things get rocky, then we can bring some walking poles. Okay. So, speaking of things getting rocky, let's talk about that transition into Capricorn, where we have to be that goat on the side of the mountain and navigate some of the difficulties of life. All right, let's jump in. The sun changes signs this week. That always portends an energetic shift for the way that we are orienting in our lives. The sun being so connected to our heart, to who we are, sun being such a dominant part of not only our planet and the energy that we need to run the planet, but also in knowing of ourselves. So when the sun changes astrological signs, we feel that as well. So we're leaving Sagittarius, and I've spent the last 4 weeks or so talking about Sagittarius and the gifts that Sagittarius brings to us, which are the gifts of being able to see things differently, being able to move around with more fluidity around the way that we see the world, the people in it, and our belief systems. And belief systems are pretty embedded for most of us. They can be very subtle as well, not just the overarching belief systems of religion or politics, but smaller belief systems, the way that you run your household or things that you feel about yourself. And while some of those are more Gemini in nature, it goes hand in hand. So this month has really brought you an opportunity to see yourself differently, to see the world differently, and hopefully to bring a sense of optimism into your beliefs, or being able to reality check some of the things that you think to be true. Because if we don't do that, we get into a place of stagnation, which is what Aquarius asks us to address. So we're not quite to Aquarius season, but the point as we move through the zodiac and all of these signs and these energies build upon one another, so that we come out of Scorpio having understood the deeper truths. We move into Sagittarius looking to understand the greater truths. And then we move into Capricorn, which is where we begin to see how all of those truths affect our relationship to being in the world, especially things like our financial situation, our mastery, our success, in a way that we are structuring our lives that either point us in the direction of success or keep us held back. Something that I'll be talking about as we progress through this month, our relationship with the planet Saturn, the planetary energy that rules Capricorn. And Saturn can be a real tough energy for some people because Saturn is where we have to take what we have learned and implement it. And Saturn energy, Capricorn energy, there is a lot of fear mixed in with the knowledge that we have to make something of ourselves in this life. Some people choose to do the bare minimum route. And if you think about the people in your life that you know that never really had much drive, never really achieved much, always breaking the rules, getting in trouble, those are people that have a rough relationship with Saturn. Now, many of us have a difficult relationship with Saturn because it is the energy of authority. And a lot of times, authority is telling us to do things that we don't want to do, that are hard. And that is part of what we will explore with Capricorn. The frustration of coming out of Sagittarius energy, where we've been exploring and learning, and we feel like we know it all, and we just want to have fun, and we don't really want to dive too deeply into the shadow. And then we come face to face with Capricorn. Capricorn is the rules, the traditional ways that we've all done things, and it is the governing body. Any kind of governing body, anything, including your inner critic, that comes along and says, you have to do it this way, you don't have a choice, falls under the auspices of Capricorn. Capricorn is a cardinal earth sign. Capricorn has the most wisdom of all of the earth signs. Being that it is a cardinal sign, it is a leadership sign. This is an energy where we have to move past what we think we know. When you are a know-it-all with Sagittarius and you move into being a know-it-all with Capricorn, the game really changes. With Capricorn, you have to put your money where your mouth is. You have to garner respect. And that respect or recognition doesn't come from just spouting off what you believe. It comes from the hard work that you've put in. It comes from developing from your failures. Why people don't like Capricorn, we don't like to fail. And yet the people that have had failures and setbacks, those tend to be the people with the strongest foundation, the strongest sense of ground. They have extracted the lessons that they need in order to become the very best that they can be. And that's what we look at with Capricorn. Are you the very best that you can be? If you were going to look back at your life in 5 years, right now, would you respect the choices that you're making? So it's this magic of being able to understand what you think to be true. Also taking that and holding several different beliefs all at once, what you think, what they think, and alchemizing, as we do with Sag, and then taking that and really becoming proficient at what we have discovered, like taking our knowledge and our wisdom and deepening into it, developing the skills, developing the fluency that is required for real success. This is why we have a Saturn return when we're 30, which leads us into adulthood. Think of everything that goes on in a lifetime before the age of 30. Much of it is new experiences. It's having to learn, having to experiment and explore. And then you get to that Saturn return mark, that 30-year mark. And this is when you have gathered enough mistakes, wins, etc., to begin earning recognition. We're going to talk some more about that. So speaking of grounding, let's just get grounded. Capricorn is an earth sign. We still have plenty of fire in the sky. And so there is that aggressive energy that we're still experiencing. Take a few deep breaths and just relax into this very moment. Notice how it feels in your feet on the floor. Allow the ground to hold you. It's a solid force. We can count on our grounding to hold us, and we will be working with this as time progresses. What is your center? How do you relate to the world when things feel unstable? Well, first and foremost, we make sure both feet are firmly planted on the literal ground. Take some deep breaths into the core of your body, into the center. Feel what it feels like to tap into that breath and to use that breath to soothe your nervous system. With Capricorn, we are learning how to not be impulsive and how to hold ourselves steady, how to hold ourselves in a single place so that we can create our success, create our foundation, create that place that we are operating from. And that place is always your physical body. That is ground zero. Get a sense of what is happening in your physical body right now. Notice if you feel agitated, if you feel serene, if you have pain, if there's something that your body is asking you to attend to switch positions or use the restroom or take a sip of water. These are all practices that come in very handy as we're moving into Capricorn season, where we have to figure out what our foundation is and what it's lacking. In the tale of the three little pigs, we know that the pig that built the house out of stone, it took the longest, it required the most effort. He was the only one that was safe from the big bad wolf. And we do this with Capricorn. We look around and we say, what do I need in order to build my stone home? Am I willing to put in the effort to do that? Do I have enough money to do that? So that I am grounded, I am secure, and from that home, I can operate my life. So, what is your body feeling like right now? Does it feel like it is a house of straw? Or does it feel like it is a house of stone? Some food for thought.